People of the Iced Earth community, welcome to Podcast in Stone, the only podcast dedicated to Iced Earth. That's right, there's no other like us. We just want to open up. I'm joined by Chuck Hoskins, by the way, before I forget.
Morning, Jason.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
It's a great day. Great day. Go on with your announcement.
We want to thank Stu Block for coming on. That was a fucking just so much fun to chat to him. It was so good.
That was a lot of fun.
Interesting stories he had to tell, and some interesting information he gave us, which was nice of him to do. And he was very kind of open and honest with us, which is really cool.
Absolutely. I love the in-depth conversations about being in the studio, doing Incorruptible, and the trying out for Dystopia and the writing of that. It was a lot of fun. Great interview with him for sure.
And people seem to be digging it, so we thank you guys for showing your support and love for the podcast. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys. We probably would be, but you know, you guys spur us on and it makes us really want to do more. So yeah, thank you everybody. We have a special announcement. It's like, yes please sir. Our next guest is going to be the one, the only Randall Shorver. He played on the Enter the Realm demo, the debut album, Night of the Storm Rider, Burnt Offerings and Dark Saga. This just seems to be a very ideal time to get him on next episode, so look forward to that. But today we are going on a journey of a certain character known as Spawn.
Yes.
The very tragic story of love and revenge. We are talking about Iced Earth's fourth album, The Dark Saga.
Dark Saga. It's a great time to be an Iced Earth fan. Matt's second album, a really sweet spot for me as far as the the Iced Earth catalog goes. It definitely starting a roll. You know, I love this album.
Now, we were talking off air. You were saying about how you like, personally to you, this album kind of starts what you call the sweet spot of Iced Earth Records.
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate on that, Chuck?
Well, with Dark Saga, Something Wicked, and Horror Show, which all three have been my favorite albums at a time. To me, it's just, and you thrown in the Melancholy and Alive in Athens in there. It's just, to me, they grew, they evolved, and that's just just a great time in the band. Is those three albums, and Dark Saga was the beginning of it. So, my first album to listen to by Iced Earth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell a little bit of the story. You always hear about John talking about how music has evolved from their end. Well, from our end as fans, back in 1996 to 2000, we didn't have the internet, so it was kind of a word of mouth, and you found out from reading magazine reviews. So there's a small club here in Ohio that had this group called Iced Earth coming on their Something Wicked tour, and I had heard of them and I'd seen pictures of them. And I asked a friend of mine, I said, this Iced Earth group, what do you know about them? And he said, let me tell you about them. And he brought in two CDs for me. He brought in Something Wicked and Dark Saga. And I took them home and I put in Dark Saga first because I thought it had the cooler album cover. And I was hooked after the first song. I was just amazed at the voice, the galloping and everything. I was hooked almost instantly. And yes, I did go to that show 30 days later. So that's kind of my story about how back then you didn't have, oh, okay, I'll check that sample on YouTube. You had to, it was a word of mouth. And it definitely changed my musical history, getting that CD.
For me, it's more of a case of just being absolutely by this point I was already like, I have to have, like, this is around about, for me it was around about 2003 where I finally got my hands on Dark Saga, because in the UK the Iced Earth CDs were very hard to come by. You either had to special order them from certain record stores to get them, or you just have to be in the right place at the right time for them just to be there on the shelf. And I remember one instance. There's this town in London where I live called Bromley. It's a big kind of like shopping town, like big high street and stuff. And I used to go there. I'm a big gamer, so I used to go there with like a bunch of games to trade in, and I like get cash, and I might buy a game or whatever, and go and get some food or whatever. I remember I bought this new game. I went out of the shop. I went up to the high street, walked into my local. There's a store called HMV, which isn't much of a store these days because they're dying. But walked into there, went upstairs. There's 2 floors. Went upstairs. They've got a metal section of CDs, and it's just like I went straight to the ice section because I was like, I wonder if they've got any ice there thing. Let's have a look. And they had a horror show which I didn't have at the time. I think it just came out. It wasn't out for that long. I think it was out for about a year or so, or maybe 2 years. I think. Yeah, I think it was. It was the latest album at the time, and it had Dark Saga, and I was just like, I need these now because they were hard to come by, right? Over here.
Right.
So like, and being fresh out of school, like I didn't really have any money. I didn't have a job at the time and stuff like that. I was looking to going to college and stuff. I didn't have any money to buy it. So I ran back to the game store, got a refund on the game I just bought, just to go back and buy those 2 CDs. So that was my introduction to Dark Saga.
Nice.
Let's talk about who makes up this album. Personnel-wise, on his second appearance is Matt Barlow on lead vocals. The forever lasting and forever driver John Schaefer on rhythm guitars, vocals, and apparently he co-produced this album, which I didn't know. So that's a little tidbit I didn't know. Our guest for next week, Randall Shorver on lead guitar. The last album to feature David Bell on bass guitar, and the first album to feature Mark Prater on drums. It was co-produced and engineered by Jim Morris. There's some female backing vocals by Kate Barlow. Oh, that's interesting. Photography by Michael Haynes. Layouts, I'm guessing like actual CD graphic layout by Karsten, I can't pronounce his surname, Dracher. And the official Spawn artwork was actually officially done by Todd McFarlane, which is actually quite awesome.
Yes.
Let's go into some Wikipedia is a wonderful place. Obviously, it's edited by random people, but there's some information I generally believe that may be true, maybe not. So if anyone's got any extended information on whether some of this stuff I'm going to say is true or not, feel free to comment down below. That's always cool. John Schaefer originally he wanted to write music for the 1996 Spawn movie that nobody remembers fondly because it's fucking terrible.
It's awful.
It's so bad. He originally he was a big fan of Spawn. He wanted to write the music for the film. I think Todd McFarlane declined his offer, but then John was like, "Fine, we'll use that concept for a whole album." And Ton agreed to that, and he also agreed to do the artwork for the album, which is one of my favourite artworks from my stuff. It's fantastic.
Yes.
And apparently because it was Spawn on the cover, and it was sort of more or less endorsed by Todd McFarlane, it allowed iSturf to kind of like sell their albums in comic book stores and stuff like that. Which is cool. Speaking of comic book stores, I do remember a comment by John Baylor on our group. Thumbs up to John. You alright, mate? He did mention that that's how he got into iSturf. He found the Dark Saga CD in a comic book store.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool way to discover one of the best bands in metal. So, nice story, John. We appreciate the stories, guys. And iSturf also apparently were going to like comic book conventions to promote the album because it was about Spawn, which I thought was something that's pretty fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
I wish they would come to my conventions.
I remember back then, the Spawn stuff was everywhere. The artwork and the figures were pretty big for a while. I don't know about over there, but you couldn't go anywhere without seeing those Spawn figures over here, for sure.
I think he was somewhat popular over here as a character, but I think he was mainly a bigger deal in America. I do believe. I don't know, but anyway, we're not talking about Spawn. Although he may, obviously, we can't talk about Dark Saga without bringing up Spawn in kind of its entirety, really, because it is about his story. But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. You know how that all came about. If then again, it's from Wikipedia, so please let us know if any of this information is incorrect. So that would be coolio. So yeah, let's go on to our general thoughts, Chuck.
General thoughts. To me, this is darn near a perfect album, just from start to finish. Uh, I think that Dark Saga is a great opening song. Just I know I've seen several videos where they open with it, and like Matt kind of walks on stage, as the intro's going.
It's like
It's
all
just
ominous. It's all ominous. It's
yeah,
like
it's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe to the song, and I think that "I Died for You" may be Ice Earth's best power ballad. It's "I Die for You" is perfect.
it's great. It's probably one of the highlights of the album for me, alongside songs like "The Hunter" and "Depths of Hell," and probably well, we can't really talk about this album without mentioning the Question of Heaven and how fucking damn epic that song is. But yeah, I don't know, like I listened to it last night to get my thoughts all gathered, and it's probably my favourite produced album in terms of how it's sonically, like its mix and its how it's actually like produced. It just sounds fucking, just everything sounds where it should be. The balance of instruments are there. It just sounds, and it's weird to say because like you read about when it came out and the review and the responses were quite negative towards it, saying that people were disappointed by how it wasn't as heavy as what you would expect from myself. But then again, it was following one of the most heaviest albums. It was following one of the most heaviest albums the band has done in Burnt Offerings. So you kind of can understand, sort of, but yet there is some goddamn heavy moments on Dark Saga.
Absolutely.
Violate is probably
Violate.
Violate's just like, oh man, Violate, fucking hell, I love that song.
It's so heavy and fast. To me, I don't mind a well-rounded album. I don't mind that everything doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour for me, and just the flow of the album is just perfect. Just a whole mixture. I mean, it has its super fast moments, and there's great melodies in it, and it's a great roller coaster. But yeah, there's definitely some heavy moments in this album.
Well, in my opinion, I think with Dark Saga, I think it has the most anthems. When you think of Iced Earth anthems, like big songs that everyone can sing along to, I always think of like The Hunter, I Died for You, Vengeance is Mine, A Question of Heaven, like
A Question of Heaven, yeah.
Like when you see like Ancient Curion or Alive in Athens, when they crack out these Dark Saga numbers, everybody is
everyone
singing
goes
along.
Crazy.
Everyone is singing it, and it's just, I think this is probably, for me, I think this is the most sing along, if that makes sense. Like it's a song where you really can just get caught up in the melodies and the hooks and the vocal hooks, and just really kind of just, they get stuck in your brain. You just really just can start just singing away and just fist pumping and stuff. And I don't know, like people may see it as like, the band simplified, if you compare it to like debut Storm Rider and Burnt Offerings, the band kind of simplified their writing. But like I just feel like, to me they matured and they realised you don't always have to be flashy to make great metal songs. And this album proves that, in my opinion. It proves that you can go back to basics. Less is more sometimes, and
Right.
it's all about, the melodies. Like I said, never underestimate a vocal hook, because it will get stuck in your head, like, for the longest time. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm going on the ramble.
No, you're go ahead.
I do apologise, Chuck, but I will happily compare the Hunter to Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark. They're on that similar kind of epic kind of sing-along scale,
Right.
That's the way I see it. But yeah, the Hunter was one of my favourite songs for the longest time when I listened to it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, really. The album is just fucking fantastic, and the production is amazing.
Well, one thing I think that they showed here is it seems like in the writing it's more, I don't want to say simplistic as a bad thing, but I think he felt like he didn't have to do everything as a 9-minute epic. The songs are kind of right at 5 minutes, and like you said, very. I don't want to say this is by any means a commercial album, and I can't wait to discuss some of this next episode with Randall. But I've talked to him off the air here, and he's mentioned that him and John had kind of different paths on this album. John wanted to go the Dark Saga way, and Randall wanted to go more thrash in the vein of Storm Rider. So I love this album. Like I said, I don't think it's in any way commercial, like Metallica went commercial with the Black Album, but there's similarities as far as the writing, and there's some classic songs on here that still to this day sound great live. I think this is an album that's stood the test of time tremendously. It still sounds as fresh to me today as when I played it in 1998 for the first time.
That's cool.
And I know we both have the same deep cut that we love off of this album.
Depths of Hell, man.
Depths
Fucking hell.
Depths of Hell.
No one talks about it. Like, what the fuck? Like out of, I don't know about you, but for me, out of all their catalogue, I think the Dark Saga material gets played the most live. You'll notice that, that's what I've noticed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen through the years and through the DVDs and through stuff like that, yeah, the Dark Saga material seems to be everyone's favourite, more or less, when they play it live. Everyone just goes fucking nuts. But yeah, I forgot my point. I forgot what I was getting to. Bollocks.
We were talking about Depths of Hell.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's a fan favourite and stuff like that. But come on, guys, just play. Because think about it. They've played Dark Saga live. They've played I Died For You live. They've played Violate. They've played The Hunter. They've played The Last Laugh. They've played. Yeah, Depths of Hell is the only song they've not played from this album live. See what I mean? They've literally, throughout the years, played every song except from Depths from Hell.
But
Depths of Hell.
That.
Fuck.
I would definitely. I mean, and I'm not in any means tired of Violate and Vengeance's Mine, but I wish that they would kind of give those a back burner for a few tours and just do Depths of Hell, just once. And
it's like I watched this. This is why you were surprised because I remember we were talking about our favourite tracks and stuff, favourite tracks and our least favourite tracks from this album yesterday. We should bring it up quickly just to have a little chat. But I remember you saying your least favourite is Scarred, whereas mine is A Slave to the Dark. The reason why I really like Scarred solely because years ago I saw a video on YouTube from 2002 of them playing that on the Horror Show tour, and it was fucking masterful, and it sounded amazing, and it just made me give me more appreciation for that song. I think maybe I don't like Slave as much solely because it's been played to death live. Every show I've been to, they've played it.
See, to me, Slave to the Dark. You mentioned Fear of the Dark earlier. The sing along part of that is just, I hear that either on Athens or Curion, and I got it. I love it. I haven't grown tired of that song, and I don't mind Scarred. It's by no means like a horrible number, but to me, if I had to pick a least favorite track, that would just be it. Other than that, it's perfect to me. Um, and I love the way Slaves of the Dark goes into Question of Heaven. To me, you got to play those songs back to back, similar to me to
Well,
Angels.
it's a trilogy, isn't it? It's a suffering trilogy, so it's meant to
It
go.
is,
It's meant to go Scarred, Slaves, Heaven, like
but on some of the live shows, they've left out Scarred and just done the last two, and some of their tours.
There's a bootleg DVD I've picked up. I shouldn't really endorse bootlegs, but when you can't get it anywhere else, when you can't get something officially, why not buy a bootleg? Anyway, I bought this bootleg called Mr. Hyde in Paris 2002, and they literally played the whole of the Suffering trilogy.
Okay.
I've not heard it yet, because I haven't got it yet, but I'm looking forward to that, because that's how it should be, is a trilogy. John Schaefer likes trilogies, doesn't he? You know?
And when Stu was on our show last week, he mentioned that they should one day do a show where they did all the big epic trilogies and stuff. And I would love to have that, next to Gettysburg and the Something Wicked trilogy.
I hope he's not just saying that. I hope he goes and just nags John, because can you imagine? Can you imagine? Traveling Stygian. Suffering trilogy. What else? What am I missing?
Damien. You throw Damien in?
Yeah.
Something Wicked.
Something Wicked trilogy.
Gettysburg.
Damien. Dante's Inferno. Gettysburg. Clear the Way. There's not really any big ones on the dystopia in that, is there? Well, Tragedy and Triumph.
Not as far as trilogies or like super long songs.
Tragedy and Triumph, and maybe The End is a pretty long one actually. The End of the Plagues. So that's probably about 2 hours right there.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fucking. Although I don't really like The End, to be honest. That's a bit not for me. But anyway, that's a cool idea, but I doubt they'll do it, because then, because I got a feeling that Stu's like wishful thinking. Anyway, to our collections, sir.
Okay.
Now I have 2 copies of Dark Saga. Is it me, or is one logo bigger than the other logo? Or is my eyes playing tricks on me?
They look pretty close. They look pretty close to me. Yep, I would say they're the same.
Oh crap! I thought they were different. But anyway, I'm looking to have two copies of each album, to have one signed and one not signed. I'm doing pretty well on that side of things actually.
I kind of accidentally gotten several copies of each myself, so I'm there on accident.
I have it on cassette as well. As people know, I love my cassettes.
Is that sealed?
No.
You also got to show your disc, the difference in the disc also. I know some people like to see the, mine has the cool artwork on it.
Yeah, so does mine, but I think both mine are the same, so.
Okay, I know there's some that are like purple.
Are they?
Some, I've seen them before.
I might have to have. Oh yeah, they're purple. They just got iced Dark Saga. They've got nothing else, have they? Yeah, mine are both the same.
Now, your Slave to the Dark one, you want to show that one?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever taken this out. Yeah, I've got the Slave to the Dark one, which the artwork's more vibrant. It's more colourful.
Absolutely.
You've got the inward thing with all the people on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a cool picture. I love that picture of John. He just looks like he's just evil.
I'm not a fan of the shades, to be honest. But yeah, you got the inner sleeve. That's pretty cool, right there. In the back.
I like that too.
It does have two remixes on it. Hellspawn Mix 1, Hellspawn Mix 2. If anybody can tell me what they are, that'd be cool, because I've not listened to this version, so I wouldn't know. But as people know, the the actual like CD for the Slave to the Dark looks like kind of like a mini vinyl. But yeah,
Yes.
that's the Slave to the Dark version. I quite like the Slave to the Dark version. So what does the booklet look like? Oh, it's just the booklet's just a zoomed in version of Spawn's face. So yeah,
Definitely great artwork for it.
got some. Well, let's talk McFarlane. You can't really expect anything less, really. Like he's an incredible artist. You know.
And I read just this morning that the artwork for that was in episode 50 of their Spawn. So I'm actually going to need to pick that up just to take a look at that issue.
What a comic!
Yeah, Spawn number 50 is what.
I might have to buy that now. God
Yeah.
damn it! God damn it!
I don't have any of them, so
I'm quite a big comic guy, so now I know that. It's
and
probably,
here's my Century Media re-release of Dark Saga. I like this one. It's only one. I know we complained about this last week. It's only one vinyl, so I kind of like not having to flip it over after two songs.
yeah, it's good. What color is your vinyl?
It's black, you know that.
This my one.
Let's see that pretty color.
Oh man, seriously, Century Media must have a bias against the Europeans or something. But yeah, mine is yellow. I have a yellow one, mate.
I like that color, but it doesn't really super match the artwork, though.
I think it does. I think it's a nice light thing, you know. I think it actually works quite well. I think it complements the artwork.
And what did you say earlier off film? Century Media hates Americans.
No, don't take things out of context now, Chuck. I said they must have a bias against Europeans because we're getting all the cool color vinyl. And apparently,
And we only get the black.
According to you guys in America, you're only getting the black vinyl.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, for Incorruptible, a lot of our common ones over here are red. So I don't know whether they just ran them more that way.
The red version of Incorruptible is the standard mass-produced version.
Okay.
So red is the one that has the most copies out there.
I've seen this one for a lot more. To me, it's not worth the extra $40, $50 just to have a different color. I'll take the regular price version. And I love that they re-released. We talked about this earlier also. When they re-released the vinyls, that just made me so happy to be able to get them, just like that for $22, $24 instead of, Dark Saga. If you look for the old first pressing, it runs around $100.
Yeah, I don't doubt that really. What I don't understand is that clearly this vinyl re-release, to me, it's great because we can get the older catalogue a lot cheaper. But I don't understand why they've got to release it in like 50,000 different colours. Like, I looked up like Dark Saga's colour variants. There's yellow, there's orange, there's red, there's purple, there's grey, there's gold, there's clear, and there's black. What's the point? Like, that's the point. That's just cash grabbing, completely cash grabbing. Like, how many copies of this album can we make people buy?
Because there's people like me and you that buy them.
Yeah, but I wouldn't buy multiple copies.
But there's people that do.
I bought the yellow one because I thought it looked the coolest. That's why I got the yellow one. So, but yeah,
it's definitely
Century Media know how they know how to make money. Like, let's have about 50,000 colours and get people to buy like 50,000 of the same album.
I don't mind that because you obviously have the option to buy it or not. So I usually go with what's the nicest. There's some things that to me I'm more of a multi-cover person. Like for the first two albums, if they got multiple covers, I have to have them.
At least
so that's where they get me. So the color vinyl difference is not a big seller on me. So I'm okay with just one color.
At least John Schaefer doesn't release like a vault box with all the albums for $2,000 and says, "Oh, I'll hand deliver it to you if you buy it." because unlike somebody, John Schaefer is not a prick. Like
John Schaefer's not going to offer $50,000 to come to your house and give you Incorruptible.
yeah, John Schaefer's not going to like try to trademark the devil horns, the metal horns. He's not going to be a dick and try to like trademark it.
Anyway. But yeah, so that's kind of the packaging. Many different colors on the vinyls. If anybody's got on our group, if you want to show pictures of the original vinyl, artwork or whatever, if you want to show pictures on our group, that'd be cool to see. I'd like to have them. I'm just not going to pay $100 to get them. And I actually am a big fan of that 180 weight vinyl anyway. So I'm very happy with the re-releases of the vinyls. I thought that was very well done. The posters are great too. Do you have your poster handy, or you want me to get out mine? I don't put them on the walls just because I already got enough stuff around. But I mean, it's kind of cool to throw it in there for sure. It's very colorful.
Guess what I've done?
What have you done?
Yeah. That's see, like all these vinyl releases have really good posters in them, but they're folded. Why do you fucking have to fold posters for fuck's sake, Century Media?
Because if they didn't fold it, it would be the size of an album cover. I would almost rather have a good frameable album cover picture. You agree?
Yeah.
Album blast, what they call them.
I'd take that over folded posters. It's the worst. Christ's sake.
So,
anyway. Guess what I've done?
What have you done?
I bought issue 50 of Spawn.
Really?
Because as soon as you told me, oh yeah, it's got that piece of art in it, so I've got to have it in comic form now. How meta is that? And then I can basically take that to John Schaefer, and he can sign that piece of artwork because it's Iced Earth related. Yeah.
I have so many things I want John Schaefer to.
Oh yeah. I'm
I'm
repping the Gene Adam today.
That's awesome.
Well, of course it is. Look, it says awesome on it. So of course it is. Oh, mine's got a back print as well.
Now, see, I want that on a hoodie just for me, the Podcast and Stone, but that's another topic. So that's kind of the packaging and the different, the CDs, the artwork. It's overall, it's a wonderful package to look at. I know some people do audio, digital, or iTunes or whatever. I have to have the product. I like to look at it. I like to read it, read the liner notes and stuff, and the packaging is just tremendous on it. I love the disc.
Yeah.
The vinyl's great too.
I had a conversation with Bill Owen, and we were talking about the kind of music industry at the moment where there is like vast collectors that want the physical stuff, but you have these people that just don't give a shit. And I've got a friend who I'm trying to get him into Iced Earth, and he's just like, he's gotten into some bits. He's like, yeah, this is really good. This is really good. Oh, I haven't listened to the rest yet. I'm gonna have to download the disc. I've got torrent, like download from torrent. They're like catalog, and I'm like, no, you buy it like everybody else, you prick. Like, you will buy it and you will fucking enjoy it, sir. You will not illegally download their fucking catalogue. Alright, you fucking wanker. Anyway. Rant over.
We definitely endorse.
Shall we go into current news? Matthew Barlow has dropped a preview for his new project Sentinels, which will be basically what sounds like to me orchestral arrangements with him singing over the top, which sounds pretty good to me. It's Matt Barlow. I'm going to support anything he does. So.
And I like it not because it's just Matt Barlow, but the sample I heard, I dug it. But I think one thing that needs to be mentioned is he even put a little retractor on their official site that this is not a heavy metal album.
Yeah.
If all you like is heavy metal, you might not like this, which
Yeah,
is fine. Um, I like the different option to have something to listen to. I will be all over that release. And
yeah.
I know we kind of briefly mentioned it. I love the first Ashes album. It's to me amazing. There's another Ashes coming out too, but I'm very excited to hear the arrangements of it and just how it's going to flow. I think it'll be something I'll listen to a lot, kind of for the more mellow times. I'm so excited. I don't see them doing a big tour on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm more than excited about hearing Sentinels for sure, and both of them.
Yeah, I've heard like mixed feelings for it. I think people, from what I've heard from certain people, friends of mine, they're quite disappointed it's not a straight up like symphonic kind of metal album. And
Right,
I tried to say to them, well, that was already kind of knowledge prior to this preview. We knew it
right,
was more or less going to be just solely like piano, keyboards, and Matt's incredible
vocals.
voice. But yeah, like I said, like it's Matthew Barlow. I'm gonna support him with whatever he does. I just think
Right.
he's exceptionally talented, and from what I could tell, he just keeps getting better. So
Yeah, his voice is very good still. Um, Now between the two Ashes and Pyramase, which one was your favorite of the two?
I preferred. I preferred. This is going to sound weird. I preferred Ashes of Aries for their music, but I preferred Barlow's vocal performance on the Pyramase or Pyramase, whatever it's pronounced, album.
I I, I like the Pyramase. I just loved. That's the difference. I liked the one, but I loved Ashes to Aries. I thought
Oh, don't
he knocked
don't
that one
don't
out
don't
of the
get me wrong.
park.
That album is great, and hearing those songs live is even greater.
Yeah, you
So
got lucky enough to hear that live. I did not.
it was a
So
fucking that lineup. Like, I saw. Oh man, so 2014 or was it 13? I can't remember. One of the two. It was like there's a power metal band from Germany called Powerwolf. They were headlining. It had one of my other favourite bands, which is called Battle Boost. They're like 80s power metal, kind of heavy metal from Finland. They were supporting, and as Severians are supporting, I'm just like, fuck, I need to get on this now. So I bought my ticket and I went. And it was great. It was really good show. Matt was on form, and those hearing stuff like Punishment live was just so good,
yeah,
and they were on form, and I'm looking forward to Ashes 2.
so
I'm looking forward to
yeah.
that big time.
I haven't heard whether that's the official title of that or not, but I'm just calling it Ashes too.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned Bill Owen earlier. I know you can see my poster in the background, the Purgatory poster. Thank you very much, Bill Owen. That's one of the favorite pieces I have in my collection. So I hung it right where it would be in the background. So,
I
but
still I still have yet to get a frame for mine, so I don't know where I'm going to put mine. I might replace my Star Wars poster for it, but my
you
Star
should
Wars my Star Wars poster is massive, so it might not be have the same impact. Uh,
search your feelings, Jason.
what?
That was a little Star Wars joke. I said, search your feelings. Put the Star Wars on the other
Uh,
side. Um,
uh,
but kind of back to the Dark Saga album for a second. And I know this is one of the things that we differ in opinion on. Uh, the Dark Saga albums or the songs live, I really enjoyed Tim Ripper Owens' version of these songs. I thought he did a great job on Vengeance is Mine and Violate, and I know you disagree on that, but I thought that he handled those very good live. I think that the tone of his voice, it kind of worked for the Dark Saga album. Your thoughts?
I didn't like anything that Ripper owned. Like on his own stuff that he done with the band, he's fine, but I just don't think he could sing the old stuff very well. Like I said this before, as a technically what he can do with his voice is great, but I just can't help but feel like he has no variation. It's either his mid-tone, basically like, warrior down to just my soul, kind of like, I can't do his voice, but you know what I mean, like he's got his mid-tone, and all you have to do is up the octave, and you have his high vocal. That's it. It's just two voices essentially. I find that he has, and even though he's very good at those two voices, there's not much when it comes to diversity in his vocal, and I feel the problem I find with his voice on the Dark Saga material is that he's missing out all these little nuances that Matt has with certain things. And when Matt has that fantastic kind of like soulful baritone vocal that kind of fits so well with the theme of this album, where it's basically tragedy, love and revenge, I just feel Matt, I'm going to say Matt, obviously everyone thinks Matt's probably the best guy, but I don't like to compare, but in this instance, I'm going to compare because I have such a strong feeling when it comes to Tim Owens and the old stuff that I just don't think he just doesn't work at all. But I just feel when it comes to this album in particular, Matt's vocal and what he does with his vocals on this album is 100% serving the album, and Owens doesn't. Okay, that's why I'm excited for the Sentinels thing, because I 100% believe that Matt Barlow has that kind of voice that probably can fit in any genre.
I totally agree with that.
It does. Like his voice is that good. He probably could do like soul stuff. Yeah, he could do anything. A cappella, maybe.
he could probably almost even do like Phantom of the Opera type stuff.
Oh man,
stuff.
Fucking hell! If there was a fucking theatre show and it was like, oh, Matt Barlow as this guy,
as
fucking
Jekyll and
hell,
Hyde or something, that would be amazing.
Hell yes, I'd go and watch that. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yes, please, all day long.
So anyway,
horror show live on stage. Horror show live on stage. Yes, please.
Take my money, please.
Take my money now.
I also think that Stu, which we've talked about this before, Stu has handled all the catalog from all singers very well, and I think Stu on Ancient Curion did a really good job on the Dark Saga material also. We just needed to get him to do Depths of Hell. Yeah,
we should have nagged him when he was on last.
Well, he did promise to be back in a few months, so hopefully we'll have more time and be able to talk to about more subjects and stuff then.
Maybe we can make it less formal and be more like just go fanboy on them and go, yeah, play this song, do this, like,
Right.
Because we held back a lot, didn't we? Because we didn't want to piss him off or something,
Well, and I know some people might notice that the time was short on the interview. He told us when we started that it was 45 minutes is what he had, and he had some technical difficulties, so we lost like 7 or 8 minutes, getting him reconnected. So next time we'll do our best to get him on there for a little bit longer, and because I really enjoyed him being on there. He was pretty in depth. Next week, I can't wait. There's so many questions I have for Randall about this very album, Dark Saga, and just the evolution from the 4 albums that he was on. They all have a completely different sound. 3 singers out of 4 albums. I can't wait to hear him and John's creativeness on those last couple of albums. How they differed and stuff. I'm looking very forward to his. I want to hear his story. That's one of the reasons why we are doing this podcast, is because there's voices out there that need to be heard, and he was one of them that I wanted to hear.
It's definitely like I will just I've been thinking about this, and it's our podcast has really become a podcast for the fans, by the fans, and
absolutely.
I feel like I don't feel like we're a form of entertainment anymore. I feel like we're a service to the fans of Iced Earth. We are getting in-depth kind of interviews, and we're kind of going in depth on our own kind of personal opinions on their albums, and I just think, like you know, people are saying, you know, this is long overdue. There's nothing like this, and that's really cool to hear that we're kind of, you know, doing something completely different that no one's really done, and I'm
That was
happy
part
to
of
be doing it. It's fucking great.
that was part of my inspiration when I was looking for, you know, you. I love YouTube, and I love watching old interviews, and to me, there's not enough fan reviews, you know, collections, people showing off their collections, and I love watching that stuff. And I'd be like, why isn't there interviews of Gene Adam on here? Why aren't us as the fans getting this? I mean, you hear John and Matt and Stu all the time, but I wanted to hear other voices, you know, and nobody else was doing it, so we created it. We got a community on our Facebook that I hope that everybody watches this joins, where people share story. We got pre-Ice Earth pictures of Purgatory circulating all the time. Former members, you know, participating, people giving reviews, showing off shirts and tattoos. It's really my favorite thing on Facebook. And I think if as the numbers grow, it's going to get nothing but more fun. And we created it because it needs to be out there. I love the Iced Earth official Facebook page, but there's not enough fan interaction as far as, you know, sure they'll say like, what is your favorite song, or show us your tattoos or whatever, but there's not enough participation in it. So that's what we've tried to create for the fans and for ourselves. I'm selfish. I loved it. I had a blast last week with Stu, and I can't wait. And
You
that's
know,
one thing that
sorry, button in. But I was gonna say, you know how, like, you know, I used to have a channel, my own like channel called Vinyl Valhalla, and you know, it's really kind of funny how, like, you know, I was using that kind of channel to like really kind of, you know, show off new metal albums by different bands, and like buy their vinyls and kind of do reviews and stuff. But it kind of slowly was turning into, like, you know, showing off my Iced Earth collection. And that's how you like found me. But like, it's funny because I would have a friend that would say, "Oh, don't limit yourself to Iced Earth because it's gonna, you know, it's gonna bottleneck you into something, and you might not get really seen by that many people." But like, and now like we've kind of like started this podcast, and it's like we're on our what? How long's it been now? Like 6 weeks.
we're pushing 2 months for sure.
Yeah, and like the amount of interactions and comments and views and likes and Facebook kind of engagement, it completely eclipsed what I had started with that channel. And
Right.
the fact that somebody generally thought that it was going to limit that channel, and it hasn't, and this channel is just become dedicated all Iced Earth, and it's just become very, very successful, and we're getting loads of people watching. That says something about the Iced Earth fans, and you know what they want to see, and it just shows me that they may not have been asking for it, but they may have kind of deep down go, oh yeah, that'd be cool, have a podcast about Iced Earth, and now we have delivered to you guys the podcast of your dreams. Not really, but
Our dreams for sure.
yeah.
But,
But yeah, Dark Saga, it's fucking great. They killed it on their fourth album, like fantastic album.
Dark
Sure.
Saga is definitely an album that I could put on 1 to 10 and just not even worry about having to skip, or it's a classic, you know.
I was jamming to it last night, like midnight. You know, just jamming it. Like,
I listened to it several times this week, and by no means have I gotten tired of it at any point. But just the artwork, and I'm not saying that an artwork makes the album, but there's a certain feel that you have with that album that you kind of associate with the artwork. There's just a presence of that whole album, and I can't, you know. And just, I was thinking of this earlier this morning. I wonder if seeing the Spawn character on the cover, the next album, the next studio release, you know, is the intro to Set. I wonder if John liked that so much that he's like, okay, we need. And that's something we've never even talked about off air. I wonder if seeing Spawn on the cover made him want more. of it, you know, of his own character? That's an interesting question. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we could.
Put you on the spot.
Uh, he the Iced Earth artwork on their albums definitely went more comic book style from here on out. You know, like Something Wicked's very comic book looking. Horror Show is very comic book. Glorious Burn is not, but he used a painting that already existed. But yeah, like, you know, they're very comic booky. Like even all the way up to Incorruptible, it's very. I can, like, especially if you look at the art book and look at the actual artwork, it's very like, oh yeah, I can imagine this in a comic book. So I reckon it inspired him to go down that kind of like very eye-catching, really colourful kind of artworks. And yeah, maybe it did birth one of the most like awesome characters in metal history in Set Abominate.
Right. Now, yeah. So just a thought that I had, you know, seeing this to Something Wicked, which I absolutely can't wait to talk about that album. But I mean, I say it every week.
I'm saying nothing.
I know you are. So,
because you know my opinions already.
So, just as a wrap down, a wrap up show, we got just Stu. Having him on the show was amazing. Everybody in the group, thank you for your participation and asking questions. I know due to the glitch, we didn't get to all the questions, but we will try to get that next time. And we will have a special on-page announcement about Randall Shulver, and we'll get to some questions with him also from the group. And everybody just keep showing off their collections. That I love seeing people, you know, show off their old shirts. I've seen some cool shirts on there in the last couple of weeks, and just old school stuff. It's a lot of fun, and you know, if you have 2 extra copies of something you want to trade, throw it on there. I'm sure that there's other people that would, you know, trade stuff on there with you. So keep the page fun. Podcast and Stone, Facebook, look it up.
Facebook.com/groups/podcasting stone. Be there or be square. It's up to you, really. You know.
Right.
You know, we may just send Set Abominate to your door to make you join the group.
After he comes to my house and signs some stuff.
And play some guitar, like in Festivals of the Wicked.
Which is one of my favorite album covers. I know we have a...
It's really cheesy. It's so cheesy, though.
It's cool, though.
It's so cheesy.
Have you ever seen a metal album cover before? Sometimes that's part of it. In my opinion. I think Festivals of the Wicked is a horrible selection of songs. I wish they would have just picked one of the shows. But we'll get to that one. I don't like how they just picked 2 or 3 songs from this show and this show and this show. I would rather just them release one of the best shows. But they didn't ask my opinion at that point.
I am very surprised they just didn't really officially release Matt's last show, Pro Shot and stuff. That would have been a really cool end of an era DVD or something.
You know,
but they didn't. We had to fucking bootleg it to get it on fucking DVD. It's bollocks.
Maybe they didn't want to say Matt with Stu coming in, because Stu was already in the band at that point, which is an odd time because you don't really hear bands.
Yeah, because I heard that, because Stu joined the band in March, but yet they were still doing those summer dates. So technically they had 2 singers in the band at the time. Like,
from what I understand, they had already booked, you know, Matt Barlow, Iced Earth, and that's what the festivals wanted. So they kept up their obligations. But at that time, you know, Stu was already in the band, you know, practicing songs, and they're writing Dystopia at the same time. So, yeah. But maybe they didn't want to overshadow the new singer by saying, oh, you know, here's Matt's show on DVD. So, you know, maybe that they just didn't record it. I know that there's a Pro Shot recording out there, but, you know, John wasn't happy with the Alive in Athens DVD that came out. I thought it was fine. It was nowhere the quality that Curion DVD was, but it was still more than watchable. I've seen some crappy bootlegs out
That's the
there.
thing, like, talking about cash grabs earlier, that was an ultimate cash grab. Because
Century Media.
yeah, that came out in around about 2003 when John did move away from Century Media. So that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So
No, wait, that came out a bit late. That came out in like 2006. So it's a very late cash grab.
yeah, because when the first album came out, it was not available on DVD. It was just CD.
Hmm.
We'll have to do some research on that for our Live in Athens show,
Yeah, man.
because we've got some cool stuff to show off for that episode for sure.
Oh, yes.
So, but
Oh, I thought, well, I don't know what I'm yawning for. Tired today.
any other things you want to say to wrap up?
Basically repeating what you just said. Like, thanks to everyone that's engaged in the group. Thanks for watching the podcast. Thanks for sharing it around. Thank you for Stu Block for coming onto the show. Thank you to Gene Adam for coming on the show a few weeks ago. That was amazing. Thanks Bill Owen for sending us stuff. You don't have to do that, but it's amazing that you feel you have to. That's awesome. Thanks to everybody that just keeps us wanting to keep doing this, keeping the drive there, keeping us wanting to like give you more episodes and stuff. And
I'd say thanks to my buddy Mike McGill. It's always fun talking to him, and he's giving me some insight on certain things. So,
and just to everyone, like,
yeah.
Are you ready for Randall Shulver next episode?
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
get your questions ready for our. We'll announce it on the page eventually, and I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to him. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, but
it's very apt. It's a very kind of like apt time to be talking to him as well. Bear in mind we've just covered the 4 albums he was on, so that's going to be interesting.
yeah, and more guests to come. More guests to come
Yes.
for sure. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our Dark Saga episode. I really enjoyed it. Jason, always nice hanging out with you.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you soon. Don't forget to hit subscribe and check out our Facebook group.
And stay metal. Metal lives. See you later, everybody.
If it ain't Iced Earth, it's just average.
See you later!